Greeting YouTube. So California is considering a statewide ban on cell phone use for kids in schools. And interestingly, there are people on both the right and the left that support this particular philosophy behind this. And it's not the first state that's implemented some kind of restriction on cell phone use in schools. Now realize that I graduated high school in 1982. Cell phones were a pipe dream. The idea of having a computer that you could just carry around with you everywhere that had all the information that accessible you could want is right here. Not to mention, if you have a SD card like I do, I can carry around lots of information that's offline. I can access 300 gigs of data offline anytime I want to, as long as I get a power source. But this was a pipe dream. This was Star Trek. Okay, this was not something that we thought we were going to have when I was in high school. Not at least not anytime soon. Probably sometime in the 21st century. But we got to get that tick a lot sooner. Um, and I can understand why you want to keep kids from being distracted because they are distracting, and there are negative aspects to having cell phone use. The idea that a child is so immersed in social media that it can have a detrimental effect on both not just their attention, but also their mental health. They're being exposed to images and to narratives that aren't healthy for them, on the political spectrum, on the personal, on the emotional, uh, deal with body shaming and deal with depression and things. So there's a real negative downside to social media, and because the kids don't understand that they don't have to look, they can walk away, that the attention that someone is trying to draw from them is a commodity that other person wants, and you have the right to say no. All right. And these can be used as tools of harassment. Kids have used these tools, these cell phones, to harass each other. They've used them to document horrendous abuse and even sexual assaults that have been committed on children of their cohorts, and thankfully have in some cases been used against them in the legal system. So there are some vastly negative aspects to using cell phones for kids and having them in school. However, it means you can keep in contact with your family, which can be very important in some cases. It means that children can document harassment and violence acted upon them by teachers, by administrators, by fellow students, by school invaders. And let's be honest, because this is the US, mass shootings are a thing. We love guns more than we love the lives of children. So we are happier with people being able to cleave an AR-15 clone to their chests than making sure some kid gets to graduate and go off and have their life. And these cell phones have allowed kids to communicate for the last time with their families. And they have been able to document horrible things done to them, both mentally and physically, by school administrators and teachers. So to me, there's it's a double-edged sword, and I can't shake the idea that some of the reason they would have banned these is because these pieces of technology have allowed kids to show the world what's going on in their world, just the way they have been used by the black community to show us the horrendous things that have been happening to them for centuries, but now they can document it. It isn't that ill treatment of black people is new. It's just now we can document it and show it to the white people who all didn't know or were willing to ignore it, and now they can't. Here's the video. Watch it. This is what happens to us every day. So I can understand the reasons not to get rid of them. They're emergency tools. They're educational. They're part of school. Some teachers, curriculum plans. They're a gateway to the world in your pocket. And they're a calculator. So next time a teacher tells me you're going to have a calculator on you everywhere you go, you're going to say yes. On the other side, of course, they're tools of harassment. They're tools of abuse. They're tools of mental illness. They're tools of distraction. So I got to tell you, I really don't know where I stand on this at this point. The one thing I don't ever want to have to do, though, is how the hell do you enforce this? That one is a big question for me. How do you make a ban like this work? Where the rubber meets the road, the poor schmucks that are going to have to make sure the kids don't have cell phones on them, you're going to put that on the burden on teachers who already have a plate that is overflowing? No. You don't want to create more conflict because that's going to create conflict between teachers and the student that doesn't currently exist. You are creating problems that don't exist. And anything that increases the friction between people that you were intentionally putting them into that situation is not a good idea. If a school administrator has come up with this idea, then let the school administrator deal with it. Teachers should not have anything to do with this enforcement. I really don't think they should. They have enough crap to do. They don't need more friction between themselves and the students. I just don't see how practically how you enforce this. I really, really don't. And I get the feeling they probably don't have an idea either. They're just going to feel good about signing this into law. They're going to say, don't, tut, 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 kids can't use cell phones in schools. And when people ask, okay, how do we inform that? Suddenly there's going to be tumbleweeds. And no one's going to say, there's just going to be sound of wind in the background because they're just going to have disappeared. They never have any practical solutions to these goddamn situations. They just dump it on somebody and walk away. I've seen it too many times in government, business. It disgusts me. I deal with it all the time when it comes to working in the work in dealing with corporate America and dealing with the infrastructure of a factory of manufacturing. But in this case, you're dumping this crap on teachers in a school? Hell no. So yeah, I understand the reasoning. I think it's again, there's pluses and minuses to cell phones, there's pluses and minuses to a ban. I think that they're motivated more for the attention than for the practicality. I would like to hear what you folks have to say about banning cell phones in schools.